exist. Not necessarily at the magnitude that they are currently, but they still exist. And the biggest of which, in my estimation, 38 head coaching changes have taken place in the last week and a half. There are still 14 openings in Division I men's basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Why is there a mad rush on the coaching carousel right now? Because the transfer portal opened.
Yep.
And you need someone in place so that you can manage the next 30-plus days, despite the fact that you're not even playing any games on the court.
So it's rushing everything. It's rushing the whole process. And we've talked about the portal before when it comes to I hate the way the portal is set up as a whole. And there's a lot of things that I think are wrong with the transfer portal. I don't think there should not be a transfer portal. I just think that there needs to be more regulations. I also, if you are going to do this, when it comes to, like you said, let's just push it back a few weeks. That's all you would have to do to avoid it being right in the midst of the NCAA tournament. And then also at that point, you're rushing coaches to get hired. You're rushing schools to make these decisions that shouldn't be a 1 or 2 day decision. You're picking the coach that you want to be your future coach. And then, oh, by the way, what happens in 2 years when it doesn't work out because you had to find somebody in 1 day because the portal opened in the middle of the tournament.
This is the real madness, by the way, the transfer portal being open during the tournament. And look, to me, the biggest issue is not necessarily the timing. I don't love that players whose teams are in the postseason, whether it's the college football playoff, whether it's the NCAA tournaments, that they enter the portal. Yeah, you're not going to see a Will Richard entering the portal. He can't anyway, but you know what I mean. An Alex Condon, who's young enough. You're not going to see him entering the portal right now and leaving his team right after the season ends, no matter how it ends. That's not the issue. The issue is that the portal is encouraging players to up and leave a school that they were very happy at, but because another school that has more money than them is able to illegally tamper with them. And so you're seeing players who they might have loved their career at JU or UNF. And immediately the transfer portal opens, and because somebody else has more money, then they're able to come in. And so because the portal and NIL are inextricably linked, that's the major issue. If you could separate, like if NIL went away, I think we would have a much lower issue when it comes to the transfer.
It would be lower.
People in it.
It would be lower, but not all that much lower, because I think that ultimately so many of these student athletes, it's about, well, where am I going to start? Where am I going to get the most exposure to play at the next level? Where can I continue to grow? And especially without a transfer limit, if I can bounce from Division II Northwest Missouri to Belmont to Ohio Valley to the Grand Canyon. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just slowly move up the chain, just like coaches have been moving up the food chain for years and years. 716 Division I men's basketball players were in the portal as of late last night. That includes 4 players from the University of North Florida. I think that what's of note, though, to your point, Lauren.
And starters, by the way. These are
4,
not end of the bench guys.
No, these are 4 starters, or at the very least the 6th man of the year and 3 starters. The other 2 starters from this past season for Matthew Driscoll are graduating. But to your point, Lauren, don't forget, there were near 1,000 players. I don't have the exact number on me, but near 1,000 players in college football who entered the portal and never found a home. The same will be true when all is said and done over the next 30 days in men's basketball as well. There will be this limbo, and there are players who are entering the portal, have not had illegal tampering or had conversations with anyone, but are still simply putting their name out there because, in the words of so many, business is business.
And 2 things. So one, and this is where I said at the top that we've just skewed so far, and it used to be in the opposite sense where it was against players almost and for the school and for the coaching and whatever, because we used to have the situations where it was like a kid wanted to enter the portal because they committed to one coach. That coach gets fired. They were stuck in a school playing for somebody they didn't commit to or playing time that they were told they were going to have and didn't get. So those circumstances,
they just had to sit out a year. But the coaches, to your point, Taylor, back then too, they could block which schools that player could go to. Like in conference, you are not allowed to go to there.
And so it was unfair on the other end at that point. And so they, instead of trying to find a middle ground, they just were completely like, okay, well, we're going to go the opposite end.
Because the legal system got involved. And the legal system said the NCAA can no longer restrict these things.
Yes.
That's the main problem, is that the government stepped in, and I'm not saying that the government was right or wrong, but the NCAA no longer had the same power that it once did to at least be able to regulate things.
Yeah, and I don't know the solution. There's been so many conversations of NIL and how do we fix this and how do we fix that. Excuse me. But The one thing for me, and if we're not going to push it back the few weeks until after the tournament, what if teams that are still in the tournament can't do anything? Like your players can't enter the portal until we do the coaching searches. You know, a coach in the NFL can't interview in person until their team's not in it. What if you do something like that? Because what that's going to do is all of these teams that are going deep into the playoffs into the tournament aren't going to have those first picks at some of these guys entering the portal, number one. So it'd be maybe a little bit more even for some of these players. But also when you're still playing basketball, you're not going to be able to start getting little look-sees at other places.
I'm glad you brought that up, Taylor. We are going to have to take a break here. But when we come back, the rare instance of an athletic director being so transparent that he more or less exposed another Division I program, a Power 4 program, that approached his coach at the conference tournament and said, I want to interview this guy. Mind you, not the NCAA tournament, the conference tournament. And so, look, it's not just the agents that are at fault. We're talking the administrators of these schools recognize the parameters and are trying to get around them. And, of course, we invite you guys into this conversation on the text line, 904-641-1010, as well as the YouTube chat line. I see a couple of you have already chimed in, and 708 just brought up the point that you guys were just debating, Lauren and Taylor. The college system is so broken, the only way is to get Congress involved and start having contracts. Why even call it college sports anymore?
Yeah, it's a very tricky conversation. I also want you to hear some fantastic comments from Kirby Smart when it has to do with kids these days. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010X on 92.5 FM.
Jacksonville's home for Florida Gators baseball.
It's called the Sunshine Showdown. Florida State on the Diamond. Tonight at 6 on 1010 a.m.
Hey everybody, Jennifer Marion with Randy Marion Cadillac in Jacksonville here to say hello, and we'd sure like to have your business.
You know what? They're going to love the king of price.
My dad believes in making great deals and having a great selection in stock.
Cadillac XT4s, XT5s, and XT6s, and Escalades.
The all-electric Cadillac Lyriq.
CT4s and CT5s.
Cadillac luxury and selection is just waiting for you.
At Randy Marion Cadillac, Southside Boulevard, Jacksonville.
And don't forget, tell them Jennifer sent ya.
Lauren Brooks here for Terminix. Before termites attack your home or business and cause costly damage, Terminix it. At Terminix, they know how to stop termites just like they did at my house. These destructive pests may have been around for millions of years, but before they show up, so does Terminix, and their time is up. Don't live with a termite problem. We certainly didn't want to. Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com.
David Garrard here. I've had the PRP treatment from Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, and my knees are really doing well. Platelet-rich plasma treatment may be the answer for whatever is hurting you.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
My son had a meniscus surgery a couple years ago. When it's smooth as silk, Dr. Kevin Murphy did it. Was playing tennis in 2 weeks. This is Patrick Malarkey, and I highly recommend
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
We've all been waiting for it, and now March is finally here. Joe C. for Hard Rock Bet. The only way to make the most of March is to feed the frenzy. Check out all the lines, the tournament's opening rounds, and don't miss out. Who's getting upset? Who's going all the way? Play right along with them at Hard Rock Bet or download the app. Super easy to play and win on the Hard Rock Bet app. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Daly's Dash is not only your Jaguars game day stop, but a great place to grab a meal any day of the week. To honor the Jags and the fans, we've crafted the Duval Sub. The Duval comes with freshly sliced turkey, ham, melted cheddar, and habanero jack cheese, topped with crisp lettuce, fresh tomatoes, and a double portion of our secret sauce, all served on a fresh roll. Come by your local's Daly's Dash today to get your delicious Duval Sub. Daly's is the official convenience store sponsor of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Our slogan, Know Before You Blow, applies to more than just DUI cases. Hi, I'm attorney Lee Lockett of Lockett Law. Battery charges can result in jail time and criminal convictions too, so know before you blow a gasket and hit a loved one or a stranger. Drug crimes like possession of marijuana and cocaine will land you in cuffs too, so know before you blow. In a boating under the influence case, you also have the option to blow or not to blow. So know your options. Know before you blow. Go to knowbeforeyouBlow.com now. Offices Jacksonville.
Where Blue Bloods and Cinderellas come together to dance.
Now on until the end of the season, I don't want you to think about anything but basketball.
Tune in for live updates on 1010XL.
Served up hot by Hurricane Grill and Wings and Florida Pest Control.
The 2025 NFL season is right around the corner, and the Jags are building something special. A fresh team, a new culture, and a stadium that's going to change the game. Be there to witness head coach Liam Cohen and the rest of the coaching crew in action and secure your place in line for the stadium of the future with your 2025 season ticket membership. Visit Jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. We can't wait to see you at the bank this fall.
Join UF Health Jacksonville for their inaugural golf classic on Friday, April 25th at Amelia River Club. Sponsorships and foursomes are available. Visit ufhealthjacks.org/golf for details. See you on the course.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwoods. You hear about guarantees and warranties. What is Underwood's policy?
Frank, to talk about guarantees and warranties, you have to look at our history of over 70 years in business. Underwood's entire reason for existence is and has been to offer fine products that'll be used with such satisfaction that both the giver and the receiver will want to come back. And hopefully they'll tell their friends about us. To do this means we've got to try our hardest to satisfy every customer. All of our people understand that. Now, I'm sure over the years we've made a few mistakes, but we've never failed to make good on any Underwood product that was returned with a legitimate customer complaint. Our entire reputation would mean nothing if we didn't conduct ourselves that way. Simply put, conducting our business with integrity is a lot more important to Underwoods and our customers than all the guarantees, warranties, and contrived legal obligations in the world. And you've got Underwood's word, my word, and all of our people's word on that.
Underwoods in San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra.
Plumbing problem? AC acting up? Septic tank trouble? Don't waste time calling 3 different companies. Just call Duck Rudner. We offer plumbing, septic, and air conditioning services, making it easy for you to work with one trusted company and one simple bill. Every department has highly skilled experts trained for the job. For fast, reliable service from a company that does it all the right way, call 904-862-6769 or visit duckrudner.com.
You'll always feel good when you send someone a Kuhn Flowers floral or plant arrangement. This is JJ with 1010XL, and no matter what the reason, Kuhn Flowers has always come through for me. Order online at kuhnflowers.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you on this fine Tuesday. By the way, we always tell people that March and April in Florida, it doesn't get any better than our weather.
Yeah.
Literally, I don't care where else you want to go. March and April, right here, when it's in the 70s during the day and like upper, or I should say lower 60s, maybe upper 50s at night, absolute perfection.
It truly is. And I tweeted something about it the other day. I was like, the only problem is the pollen. And it's like, here, you want to be outside, but also I'm going to kill you because I can't breathe. Like, I walk outside right now, my car's yellow, all our streets are yellow. And I'm like, if we just didn't have that, I could. Yeah, not exactly.
Yeah,
but like temperature wise, for me, I would live in this every single day.
It's so ideal. I literally got a car wash yesterday and woke up and my car's covered in pollen. I was like, what was I thinking? All right, Mia, who's the athletic director?
The athletic director, yes, Brian Harden at Drake University. 5 minutes, very well worth your time. If you're on X, if you're on the internet, which I believe most of you are. Just Google Brian Harden press conference from yesterday, Monday, March 24th, in the wake of his head basketball coach, Ben McCollum, going to the University of Iowa, where, of course, Ben was born, raised in Iowa City. He breaks down not only the timeline, because there was a lot of discrepancy out there in the Midwest as to when exactly this deal was finalized. A lot of, for lack of a better term, some of my former contemporaries kind of pointing fingers at each other, who jumped the gun, who didn't. That part of it aside, because then Brian Harden does go on to give a journalism lesson because he was a journalism major.
Oh.
Yes, that part of it aside, What he did note, and honestly, I think he should have noted it more as a former journalism major himself, because I think that it speaks to the larger issue in college athletics right now, was that at the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament, at Arch Madness, as it is affectionately known in St. Louis, he, Ben McCollum, and Ben McCollum's agent, who was there supporting his client, and Ben McCollum and Drake, who eventually went on to win the MVC tournament after winning the regular season title, were approached by a Power 4 institution, an administrator, who came up to them while they are preparing for the conference tournament that they are the 1 seed for. And Ben McCollum, God bless him, told this administrator, I'm not talking right now. I've got a game to worry about. And both Brian Harden and the agent said to him, you realize if you don't talk to him right now, you could be out of the running for this job. And he said, I understand that. And when the right job, the next job is ready, it will be on the right timeline.
So Iowa hired him anyway.
Well,
even
because
though he wouldn't talk to them.
Well,
then.
no. It was Indiana.
Oh, it wasn't Iowa.
Yeah,
okay.
no, come on, Lauren. No, it's Indiana. Indiana was in their top 4. Darren DeVries, as Matt Norlander of CBS Sports reported, was like the 6th choice for that job. And the only reason that they went and hired him was because West Virginia didn't make the NCAA tournament and because they were seeking a coach who was currently in their job, still in play and still alive in the NCAA tournament field prior to that. And so it was Indiana because Brian Harden goes on the record and says that Beth Getz, the athletic director at Iowa, did a tremendous job of reaching out to him, not Ben, not the agent first, and said, hey, just so you know, if I make a change, he's on the top of the list. I want to communicate with you first. I appreciate that, not just because I respect the heck out of Beth, but because that's the way, if you're going to operate behind the scenes and in the shadows, whether it's as an administrator hiring a coach or a coach trying to get a player, I appreciate the fact that she went to his boss and said, just so you know, we're going to be approaching him and his representation. I just want to make you aware of that before we do anything.
Yeah, that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Athletic director is supposed to talk to another athletic director and have that conversation when the time is right, not when a team is in the postseason.
Right, and here's
the conference postseason.
And here's the thing.
So they don't know. Those conversations had to have had when Drake was still playing.
No, they were literally about to play a game.
Yeah, okay.
They were literally about to play a game when Indiana approached them.
But Iowa, Iowa just went to the AD, didn't directly go to anything while Drake was still on
Correct.
the court. Okay.
She went to the AD and said, I'm sure you've put 2 and 2 together here. I'm going to be open and honest and communicate with you, which I appreciate. Because the transfer portal opened yesterday, she has no choice. The universities both have no choice.
I mean, they have to act
this
because
is the
everything
way it
is going to start moving.
So if you're going to be that way, you might as well be transparent and open and honest, which, let's be real, Will Wade out here as honest and open as anybody, admitting that he was taking interviews after his team had won their conference title, wouldn't start playing the NCAA tournament for 4 days' time. And so literally said, I'm going to fly to North Carolina, take this interview, come back. Told his players, said, hey, I think I'm the front runner. Think I'm going to get the job. And they said, cool. And that's where this day and age of a player, if you're open and honest, I don't think there's this idea of loyalty because they realize they are either A, signing up for 1-year deals, or B, in the case of Will Wade, because he told the whole world this, when he recruited those players to McNeese State, the goal for so many of them was Will's going to get a Power 4 job, and he's going to bring me with him.
Also, if you're Ben McCollum, do you really want to go to work for an AD in Indiana who is a little bit shady, right?
No.
Like, because by the way, that AD, if you start to lose, that AD is also going to do the same thing to you and start approaching your predecessor.
Yeah, and that's my first thought was Indiana screwed themselves in that because that also, number one, you just blatantly kind of broke some rules. But number two, as a coach, it looks like you don't care about what my job is currently and what my goals are currently.
Right. Respect where I am.
Yeah.
The saying is like, be where your feet are. That's like for individuals. But I would say that to an athletic director.
Yeah.
Like, let them finish their job.
Here's the thing. I don't know if every coach would have acted the way Ben McCollum did.
Yeah, I honestly doubt it. I know there's probably coaches out there that would have had that conversation.
Because to the point that Brian Harden and the agent made, if you don't take this interview, you may not get this job.
But a lot of coaches believe in themselves so much that even if they aren't going to get that specific job, they believe that they'll win again, they'll get the next job.
It's apples and oranges, but let's go to the NFL. The Bobby Slowick case, which is going to be studied like so many before it. And he obviously took those interviews. He didn't get those jobs last offseason. But how quickly things can change on a dime. And that's, I think, the point they were trying to strike home with Ben McCollum, who, to your point, Lauren, is obviously confident enough in his ability that he said, you know what, I'm happy at Drake. If the right job is to come, it'll be on God's time. The timeline will match up here. But that, for me, from this again, I encourage you guys to look it up because I don't think you're going to see any other athletic director this week sit there for 5 minutes and literally go step by step with days, time of the day, literally with receipts. It was incredible. But that note for me was one of the most telling. And so as someone who roots for Iowa to do well, I'm like, that's the type of guy you want leading your program. But number two, to also recognize that there are these administrators that are behind the scenes and they have no choice, to your point, Taylor. And so that's where the other note that I did make and I wanted to stress as we kind of look at this big picture problem of the transfer portal opening in basketball after the round of 32 is completed, but not before the NCAA tournament is completed. You need a strong athletic director now more than ever because that is the one person. While they certainly, as we've seen, ask Kevin Willard about his athletic director at Maryland, they have no issue up and leaving as well. Mm-hmm. But Brian Harden, as we talked about yesterday, at Drake, has now hired Nico Medved as his head men's basketball coach, Darren DeVries, and Ben McCollum. All three will coach in the Big Ten next year. And so clearly you believe in him to make the next great hire. And so that's why having a strong athletic director is so important. But additionally, because he has had 3 hits, what he also admitted in this 5-minute little opening line of his press conference was that they actually raised enough money at Drake to make Ben McCollum think about it, to say, hey, we know that the expectation at Iowa is you're going to be given X amount of salary, you're going to be given X amount of NIL dollars. And for Drake to come up with, he didn't actually, I don't think he said the actual number, but for them to come up with the number they did, that doesn't happen unless you have a program with loyalty from its alumni base and its fan base and a program that wins. And so as much as, yes, the coach is very important, as much as the players are important, my biggest takeaway from these last 48 hours has been the athletic director and that hire. If you don't get that right, good luck.
Yeah, and I mean, we kind of connected that a little bit yesterday to the NFL and how when it comes to ownership and when it comes to the GM and how those have affect organizations too, because you have to be able to hire right. You have to be able to make the right decisions. And to your point earlier, Lauren, when we're kind of going back and forth about if a coach would or wouldn't, depending if, the Indiana situation. But to me, I think there are certain people out there that do like to bet on themselves. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. But there are hands down athletes, coaches, general managers, whatever it may be, who want the money now. And so they will take that chance when they have the chance. And then there's others that are going to say, okay, well, I can take a shot right now, stay one more year. We see athletes do it all the time. I'm going to stay one more year and get my big contract after this. Sometimes it pans out, sometimes it doesn't. And the slow conversation's a good one because he bet on himself and it didn't work out very well for that next year. But
he also wasn't the head coach. You have more control over your situation, I think, when you're the head coach of a program versus being a coordinator in the NFL. Whatever happened with the Texans last year, I bet
it affected him.
It did, but I would say he had less control.
And he could have had a head coaching job the year before, and he said no. Is my thing. It's you could have had a head coaching job, but you said, nah, I want my right head coaching job, so I'm going to stay one more year, and then it didn't work out, and now you've backtracked in everybody's mind during that time.
Yeah, and we'll certainly see. I don't know if Soic's going to rise back up. Yeah, because that's all cyclical. All right, I promised you we are going to let you hear from Kirby Smart. We will do that on the other side. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
If you want to get away, check in mornings with a drill and stay all day.
We just checked in, and this is already the best vacation we've ever had.
1010XL, like a daily vacation for your mind.
Hey folks, Rick Ballou here for John's Auto. They've been a staple in Jacksonville going all the way back to 1985. At John's Auto, they service all makes, all models, cars, trucks, diesel, you name it, they do it. Whether it's routine maintenance or a complete engine overhaul. Call John's Auto on Arlington Road. That's 904-743-3857 or go to johnsautomotivejacks.com.
Winter clutter holding you back? Freshen up your home this spring with a custom organization solution from Closets by Design. Mia here for a limited time. Take advantage of their spring special. Get 40% off any order of $1,000 or more, 30% off any order of $700 to $1,000, plus an additional 15% off and free installation on any order of $850 or more. Call today to schedule your free consultation. 1-800-293-3744 or visit closetsbydesign.com.
Cool Cats Heating and Cooling, the coolest cats in town, setting the standard in our hometown. Quality service, the best around. Coolidge is the cat that cares about your heating and about your air. Cool Cats Heating and Cooling, the coolest cats in town.
This is Hayes Carline for Kingfish Pest Control. Mosquito season is upon us, but don't let them take over. The secret to a bite-free yard is starting today with Kingfish Pest Control. Their 3-step mosquito defense process stops them before they can spread. Eliminate breeding areas, build a protective barrier around your yard, and monthly treatments to keep them away all season long. The earlier you start, the fewer mosquitoes you'll have to fight. Don't let those suckers ruin your outdoor fun. Call Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Multi-unit hair grafting is now available at IHRS and can give you 3 times more hair in one procedure over a traditional hair transplant.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
You can grow your hair back with this exclusive new procedure. Call for a free evaluation. Call IHRS 904-777-IHRS 777-IHRS 777-4477.
Hey, this is Coach Jason Gibson of your Jacksonville Sharks. I know the importance of a strong game plan, and that's exactly what I've got with Clay Solar Installation Partners. They did the install of the solar panels at my house, and I couldn't be happier. Lower energy bills, clean power, and a winning team that made the whole process easy. If you're looking to save money and go solar, trust the pros at Clay Solar. Call Karen at Clay Solar today and tell them that Coach Gibson sent you.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On March 25th, 1967, at the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship, UCLA beats Dayton. Bruins center and now NBA legend Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is awarded the tournament's most outstanding player.
Hey folks, Nick here for Zero Res. You're going to want to beat the spring cleaning rush and call our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. This month, get one room Zero Resified starting at $53. Hey, and take $100 off your air duct cleaning. Don't forget about your air ducts. Your air ducts sort of like the lungs of your home. If they're dirty, your indoor air quality suffers. Visit ZeroResJacksonville.com. Tell them Dan or 1010XL sent you. Spell it forwards or backwards. Zero Res. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
Yo, yo, yo. It's your boy E to the T here. And I know that getting into an accident is stressful, but getting the proper care doesn't have to be. That's why I recommend McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation Center. Even if you're at fault, your insurance covers you. And remember, you have the right to choose your own doctor. Even a minor accident can cause whiplash for years if it goes untreated. So don't wait. Call the auto accident experts at McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation. Your recovery starts today.
When you're experiencing sudden, unexpected dental pain, the last thing you want to hear is that your dentist can't see you until next week. That's why I'm so glad I found Harbor Dental Care. Whenever I call, they always find a way to see me within 24 hours, and they can usually fix whatever's wrong the same day. Plus, they have locations throughout Jacksonville, so no matter what side of town I'm on, I can always count on the same great care. If you want to find a dentist who believes in treating people right, learn more at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, Prosser here. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold hard cash, so you can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, often no appraisals. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day, so act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. Get the money you need for anything at 904-999-1508 or just go to LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Portion of yesterday's program talking about that Florida-UConn game and the personality that is Dan Hurley. And when I was looking into Georgia's spring practices that began recently, I saw a couple of comments from Kirby Smart, and honestly, I was shocked that Kirby would say these things. So here's the first one. He was asked about his freshmen and the young team that he has, and he was very honest.
We have a very young, inexperienced group. We really can't practice to our standard because they're all tired. So like we go to practice and it's like great energy, great in shorts, guys learn what to do, and then we start going and it's like they can't go. I'm tired.
They're tired. Like, twice he says that about this group. It's interesting because this is the most roster turnover that Kirby Smart's going to have for his Georgia team, but he is clearly in the Nick Saban coaching tree, but also in the camp of, I'm going to speak to my players through the media.
Yeah.
And this was a very pointed message at the Georgia roster, especially the guys that haven't been in the program for very long, which is a lot of his players right now, saying you need to get in shape. Like the standard that we have here is not being met. Yeah. And I'm going to tell the entire world that you guys are tired at practice.
I don't mind it. Yeah. And when you go on in some of it, the 24 freshmen who enrolled early. And so he said last week that not one of them is in shape. He said not one freshman is sustaining his reps and just flourishing. Nobody's doing that. And so, I mean, good for Kirby for calling them out. And this whole conversation, we'll get into some more too of just how different the coaching player dynamic is now, especially for college football, but how it does feel like there's this disconnect. But it's just this world we live in where how many times, Mia, in this last few months have we been like, these players want to know the why, they want to know the why. And so they're so focused on those things that maybe they're not putting as much effort into the off season of just these type of things, just getting those reps in and not being tired while you're out playing, and the conditioning side of stuff, which is a huge part of football in general. But how much have we started to shy away from that? Because even in the NFL, our off season is so easy. People like Leon Searcy are like, man, ours was 20 times harder than it was back in the day. These guys have it easy, and so they're not ready, and no one can make it through a season anymore.
And I think a bigger part of it, and not to go down a different road, but is the idea of one sport specialization, because these guys have been locked in on football for so long, because they've been doing 7-on-7 camps in the summer as opposed to playing baseball or playing basketball or playing, running track.
Yeah.
Because of that, they have been so conditioned to do one thing, and that is play the game of football, that perhaps there is a lapse in actually preparing to be an athlete as opposed to solely focusing on the game of football, which you would think conditioning would be part of that. Maybe this, again, we were just saying, these kids are worried about their brand. They're worried about their bottom line. And so maybe by Kirby trying to get his words out there in the media, he thinks that they'll read that and maybe that'll wake them up. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to wake them up, because are they motivated enough? Like, yes, to your point of like, they want to know the why, but at the same time, do they actually care what everyone else thinks about them?
Well, and we talked about the different personalities of coaches. I think that the Dan Hurley side of things, like we said, he screams at officials and he screams at his players. But if they have told him you can do whatever to get the best out of me, then that's a fine philosophy. If they've told him that, hey, if they pull him to the side and say, hey, coach, I don't like when you scream at me in front of everyone or embarrass me in front of everyone, then that's a whole different thing. But when it comes to Kirby's players, well, I think he thinks they're coddled a little bit.
No, we have to coach it. I mean, that's what they get. That's what they pay us to do, to coach them. They have to be willing to receive coaching. And on the whole, my whole preach after the practice was, we got a lot of guys that put their hands up. They're offended when you coach them. I'm not talking about the freshmen. I'm talking about in general. So we had multiple NFL coaches come through here, go to practice, and they talk about how their players love to be coached. They love to be given a nugget, a technique that might help them play longer or play better. And some of our guys are offended by it. It's like, you're coaching me hard? Like, you're telling me I gotta play with effort? And some of them, I guess, have never been held to that standard, but that standard's not going to change here.
They're
Okay,
offended when you coach them.
He's trying to get the word out there just so that, like, maybe if they look at their phone and they see the headline, it registers. This is just Kirby.
I do feel, though, we are in a world where they feel like they deserve to be there rather than earning to be there. And now, because it's so easy, if you don't like something, you can leave. You can go play somewhere else, and you can make money doing it. And so why are you going to work 10 times harder for a coach who yells at you a little bit if you can go somewhere else and make money and play tomorrow?
But even if you go to another school, don't you want to be coached there? Right? Like, that's what I would.
I mean, I do.
Ask, right. That's what constructive criticism is the only way that you get better, no matter what field you work in. And so these guys, if they're just like, I can't believe this coach would say something to me, anything other than, you're great.
Perfect. Good job.
You're wonderful. Like, I'm so glad you're here. Here's another $20 or $20,000 these days, right? Like, if that's really what's occurring, then it's going to be hard to be a coach.
Oh, yeah. That's why Saban said peace. But I do think it's funny because I was at a game 2 years ago, and I jokingly was saying that because I was like screaming at the game. It was the Bears-Bucks game. I was screaming at the game. They were sucking. And so then I was like, well, these are young, like Gen Z. Maybe I should like be a little nicer. So I'm like, good job, guys. First down. And I was like being funny, and everybody around me was laughing. And they're like, unfortunately, like, I feel like that's the world we're in now. Like, they respond better to
Positive reinforcement.
rather than the little tough love that we're used to growing up with, or at least I'm used to growing up with. And so it's going to be interesting to see this whole wave of young players and how they adjust to all levels of football, from high school to college to pro, but also the coaches and how long some of these coaches that have been around for a while. When we're talking about a Mike Tomlin, like, how much longer is Mike Tomlin going to be able to deal with some of these players, to be honest?
Well, I do think in the NFL world, it's a lot easier because they are all professionals, and there's
they do have contracts too.
They do, yeah. And there's the expectation that, in theory, they're rowing in the same direction to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, that is the goal. In college football, in theory, that's everyone's goal, is to win the national championship. But I feel like there's a lot of teams that know they're not going to win the national championship. And so, they are more, some individual players are more about the me, my versus the us, the team, and being able to push each other to accomplish a team goal. That you wonder how much of that is there because they're jealous that someone else is making more money than they are.
1 year contracts, baby.
Yeah. I think we're seeing that in the NFL too, though, now, because we see free agents, and the free agents are getting 1 year, 2-year contracts now.
Correct.
You're seeing a Tyreek Hill leave the Kansas City Chiefs to Miami for money. You're seeing guys go to other teams for money rather than ones that they have a better chance winning on. So I think you're still seeing it at the higher level, maybe not as much as college football, but you're also talking about 18, 19-year-olds compared to 24, 25-year-olds for the most part. And so maybe that factors in a little bit, just like that age. But these 18-year-olds that are acting this way are going to be in the NFL in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And then what does it look like?
But that's where to tie two things together. One point I didn't get a chance to make, but this is a good segue between the two. One of the teams in the Sweet 16, BYU, is making its first appearance in the men's tournament Sweet 16 since Jimmer Fredette. Anybody remember Jimmer Fredette back in, 07, 06, whenever it was that BYU?
Was that long ago?
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Or was it good of a three-point shooter in college?
What would it have been? Well, we got the year on there.
2011.
11.
National
Okay.
Pivot.
So
that makes more sense.
So relative. So still relative though. BYU,
because 07 was when Florida was winning, so that's why I would have remembered more.
Correct. So BYU, after losing Mark Pope to Kentucky, goes back home to Kentucky. A little bit of an outside the box hire by hiring Kevin Young, who was one of the top assistants with the Phoenix Suns. He's got him in the Sweet 16. They're running an offense that no one else in the Big 12 runs because it's an NBA-style offense. Maybe that's why Florida State locked in on Luke Lux. Yes, an alum, but someone who has never really coached that much in college, but coached in the NBA. And so to your point, Taylor, because the pros are moving towards this 1 year build, and because at the very least college basketball is 1 year builds, They're going to be the same.
Yeah.
We're focused. What does Kyle Shanahan say? We're all day to day, right? Like that's the world that they're living in the NFL, and that is now the world we're living in both college athletics when it comes to basketball and football.
But it is crazy if Kirby Smart can't coach his players hard. And again, maybe he's just sending the message to the media. I think that's certainly part of it. But if he can't do it, then who's going to be allowed to coach their players hard?
Nobody.
He's won 2 national championships recently and certainly made the college football playoff last year.
Yeah, and that is the conversation, I think, is because what type of coach is going to succeed in this world then if a Kirby Smart can't succeed in this world? And not saying he can't, because obviously we've seen 2 natties recently. But I do think that if he's starting to question that the way he's coaching isn't working anymore, what does work?
Since we're on the NFL a little bit, Cam Ward yesterday had his pro day. Of course, he looked fantastic because every quarterback looks fantastic throwing against air. But he also caught a pass, so that was a little bit fun for him. Does everyone believe he's going number 1 to the Titans? We've already had this conversation once, but
at this point in time,
now
I'd say
even
yes.
more confirmed.
Yeah,
after
it sounds
he believes,
like it.
Yeah, he certainly believes when he told the Titans brass that he solidified it. But one thing that did come out of the pro day at Miami yesterday, Xavier Restrepo, who we really like as a wide receiver, he caught 17 touchdowns over the past 2 seasons there for Miami.
Yeah, he's still running his 40 right now.
he ran a lot slower than people expected. Between a 4.76 and a 4.83 were a couple different unofficial times. Why would you run the 40 if you're not going to run a sub 4.5 as a receiver? That's my question.
Did he not know?
That's what I'm wondering. Like I
didn't
didn't know.
train?
Of course, you have
That's
to run
what I'm
at least
like,
once before you're clocked.
That maybe I don't know.
Just don't run it.
That's what maybe will come. Like in a few days, it's going to be like, oh, he had like a sore hammy a little bit, and we'll get something.
But like at the end of the day, I am always a believer in watching the film, and what I see happen in college football on Saturdays goes way more into my decisions as far as players and where they should be drafted. I could care less that it was that slow because I watched him up close and personal for the last, 3 seasons at Miami. He's a fantastic, talented wide receiver. I don't really care that it was a slower time. Yes, it is a lot slower than people expected, but I still think he's a great football player.
I'm telling you, I think he just was like, whatever. I know I'm a good football player.
Yeah.
I keep up with some of the best defensive backs in the ACC. It's going to be fine. And
whoever clicked that 4.73 was like, this is taking a little long. I'm going to do it a little early.
And then they do the next one, and it's like 4.83. Which, look, the boys on the drill were arguing this morning. Anquan Bolden ran a 4.71. Wes Welker ran a 4.6 something. If you guys really want to laugh, what you need to look up is Jarvis Landry's raw athletic score.
What was it? Do you
listen,
remember?
Juice made a lot of money in the NFL. My guy had a 0.27 raw athletic score and ran a 4.77.
Oh, no.
40-yard dash.
I've seen some bad ones, and that's why I would not want to put that out.
Which he did improve.
The raw scores where it was like a 3.3 someone had recently.
This is a 0.27.
That's insane.
Less than
that, I think he was drunk.
Well, no, so wait, that's the best part. So he runs the 4.77 at the combine. He did improve to a 4.61 at his pro day. But if you remember, the 4.61 is what Keon Coleman ran last year at the combine. Got knocked by everybody, and many believe that's why he fell to the first pick of the second round.
Yeah, good for Buffalo.
Sometimes it honestly works out better for you if let's say certain teams that were going to draft you higher are terrible or don't have a great offensive scheme or don't have a quarterback.
Maybe he did it maybe that's his strategy.
So he's like, you know what? I'm going to go to a team like the Buffalo Bills. They drafted Keon Coleman. He was a little slower. I'm going to go to a team like that where I know I'm going to get the football and I trust myself. No, I don't really think that. Like I said, I was just more surprised. In today's day and age, if you want to improve your 40 time, you can train for like 2 weeks and get that bad boy down. Based off of how you eat and how you sprint and train. Yeah.
And I do think now we get so much information on these guys and we have so much access to tape that maybe they're not as worried about that number, because we also talk about now too, when you look at these draft profiles and how they're broken down, it's like good straight line speed or doesn't have the straight line speed, but his end game speed and the way he can once he gets going after like that 5 to 8 yards, that's when his speed really picks up. They're so precise about everything now that I feel like he's more of that type of receiver anyways. If you watch that in college, then you knew that. But we always talk about that, like, oh, maybe he's not that burst speed, but he's quick once he gets going.
According to, I don't know if this Keeligan is a Kane fan or not, but 534 says Restrepo more focused on the short shuttle than the 40 because he's a slot. I don't know if that's true.
I was like, maybe he did have.
I would think you're focused on everything. Like, I know he ran a really good 3 cones. So, like, I mean,
I just would have sat out the 40.
Exactly.
Because I heard Fred Taylor on the drill this morning saying that Restrepo cost him some money.
Oh,
cost himself some money.
People thought he would be a day 2 pick pretty much across the board up until the pro day yesterday. I still
think he is.
Someone can get a steal at this point because he will drop a little bit. But
I was sitting here banging the table saying he was going to be the MVP of the Senior Bowl and he was going to have the Lab McConkey bump, which if you recall, Lab McConkey went 5th overall in the 2nd round. And I expected something like that or a rise like Ricky Pearsall, who we also saw ball out at the Senior Bowl. Roman Wilson with Michigan that same year as well. He snuck into the 3rd round. I thought that would be the case for Restrepo. I think he's going on Saturday now.
Really?
Yes, I do.
Anytime I can bang the table for one Brian Thomas Jr., I will. Since I mentioned, by the way, Pearsall ran a 4.41 40, just to put it in comparison. Brian Thomas Jr., of course, 17 touchdowns in his 3rd season at LSU.
Yeah.
Like I said, Restrepo, who's very talented football player at Miami, 17 touchdowns over his 2 seasons. Brian Thomas Jr., once again, 17 touchdowns in his 3rd season. Hopefully 17 next year with the Jags. All right, we will get into baseball on the other side. We got Florida State in town tonight. We will talk about that and also talk with Jacob Rudner of Baseball America. As y'all know, I do not use D1 baseball rankings. I only use Jacob Rudner's and Baseball America's rankings. Not just his, but Baseball America's. And there's a reason for that. Florida fell out of D1 baseball's top 25. They're still in Baseball America's at 19th. We'll do that on the other side. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Duval and defense.
The ball is out. The ball is out.
Things in Jacksonville.
Another sack for this Jacksonville defense.
Things on 1010XL.
Buying a diamond, wedding band, or piece of fashion jewelry in Jacksonville? You have 2 choices. You can go to locally owned Beard's Diamonds, or you can go to one of those mega national chain jewelry stores. The national chains are pretty much all the same. In fact, did you know that some of them are owned by the same conglomerate? Yes, the same Wall Street company owns all the big names. So if you're looking for extreme value with genuine personal attention, come experience the Beard's Diamond difference. At Beard's, our diamonds come straight from the source. We hand select each one for maximum brilliance. We don't have to apply corporate markups and tack on salespeople commissions, so we beat the chains on price every single day. Beard's has the strongest warranties, not gotcha clauses and fine print. Beard's has all the top designers, including Tacori and Viraggio. Beard's doesn't have out-of-state regional managers calling about sales quotas. We are all local, family-owned with total freedom to do what's right for our customers. Beard's Diamonds, all the selection, quality, value, and service you want from local people, accountable only to you. Beard's in the St. John's Town Center.
Mia here. Summer is just around the corner. Is your air conditioning unit ready to handle the heat? There is one way to find out, and it doesn't cost you a penny. My friends at Duck Duck Air Conditioning are hooking up all of our 1010XL listeners with a free inspection. Give them a call to schedule now, 904-862-6769. And if you need any repairs, they'll provide a free estimate to ensure your system is ready for that Florida heat. Call Duck Duck Air Conditioning at 904-862-6769 and be sure to tell them you want the free AC inspection you heard about on 1010XL.
It's March Madness, and your office needs a champion. Advanced Business Solutions teams up with Xerox to bring you copiers that never miss a shot. Fast, reliable, and ready to handle the pressure. Make the winning play for your business. Hire the champions at Advanced Business Solutions, where your business goes for the win. Locally and veteran-owned.
Print documents and IT management. Advanced Business Solutions.
What NFL stadium has been used the longest by an NFL team?
Filing an insurance claim following a storm shouldn't be an ordeal. Southern Oak Insurance's claim team prepares for catastrophic situations well in advance. Log on to southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
Green Bay's Lambeau Field has been used by the Packers since 1957, a span of over 60 years.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Fish know where to hide. Captain Kevin knows how to find them.
That's a big one.
Listen for the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show, brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss and Royal Pest Services.
Thursday nights at 6
on 1010XL AM.
Tired of seeing the signs of aging? Spring is here, a time to renew. I'm Dr. Mark Capel, a board-certified dermatologist, here to help you look and feel your best with minimal to no downtime. Rejuvenate your skin, strengthen your core, and sculpt your body with advanced face and body treatments designed to restore your youthful glow and confidence. Just in time for spring and summer. A healthier, more fit you starts now. Visit dermagnify.com and step into spring looking and feeling your best.
Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
The housing market is as busy as ever on the First Coast. And if you've moved in or moved on, make sure you have a team of trained electricians ready to help. American Electrical can make sure you're up to date electrically and maximize your living experience. Smart home automation services, home theater systems, outdoor and dock lighting, and backup generators. American Electrical can do it all. A team you can trust with highly trained technicians ensuring you have the best living experience. American-Electrical.com, a leader on the First Coast and powered by professionalism.
Get ready for an unforgettable night of classic rock with legendary vocalist Jeff Tate. Known for his iconic work with Queensryche, Jeff Tate brings his unforgettable sound to the Florida Theater for one night only.
Round-trip journey in your head.
Witness the hit album Operation Mindcrime, performed in its entirety for the final time. Jeff Tate, Operation Mindcrime, April 3rd at Florida Theater. Tickets at floridatheater.com.
E.T. here, and spring in Clay County means one thing: the award-winning Clay County Fair. It's more than just rides and a concert, it's an experience. Savor the flavors of classic fair treats, explore family-friendly attractions, and enjoy a perfect mix of small-town charm and big-time fun. Plan your trip with Explore Clay County Tourism and turn your visit into a getaway. Find the best places to stay, eat, and explore at exploreclay.com. And don't forget to share your fair adventures with #ExploreClay.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code WEALTH to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code WEALTH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code WEALTH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update, brought to you by Southern Oak Insurance. The Jacksonville Dolphins men's basketball team came up short to the University of the Incarnate Word 87-71 yesterday afternoon at the College Basketball Invitational, ending the Dolphins season with 19-14 overall record. Despite the loss, Jacksonville made its first postseason appearance since 2017, recorded its second most wins under head coach Jordan Mincy, reaching the ASUN semifinals this season and finished as the number 4 seeded team in the conference. Tonight at the VyStar Ballpark is the Sunshine Showdown between the Florida Gators and the 4th-ranked Florida State Seminoles. The Gators come to Jacksonville with an 18-8 overall record, as the Seminoles are 20-3. Starting on the mound tonight for Florida Gators is UF freshman left-handed pitcher McCall Weimiller, facing off against Florida State's sophomore right-handed pitcher John Abraham. First pitch will be at 6. You can hear the game live on 10:10 a.m. It's 76 degrees at 12:58. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
So this is Florida-Georgia line, kind of similar to tonight's game at the VyStar Ballpark. Florida State, very similar. Two teams that are close in proximity, also absolutely hate each other. Florida beat Florida State in Tallahassee a couple weeks ago. That's when Florida's season was still ascending, and since then, roles have reversed. Florida State has played really well, and Florida has not in conference play. 0-6 to start the season. That's not good enough for Kevin O'Sullivan. I know he's going to be really on his guys tonight to try and win. As you just heard Molly say, McCall B. Miller will be the starter for Florida. I have not seen him pitch yet, so I have no idea what to expect.
Well, yeah, I think that when we're talking about both baseball seasons and even Florida State, I mean, they started 18-1 or something like that, and now have lost 2 of 4. One of those being against Mercer. So they'd probably say they're not too happy. I know they win 2 of 3 against Miami, which is what you want to do against a rival. But I do think they probably maybe feel they're not playing their best baseball. But when it comes to Florida and what just happened with them with Georgia over the weekend, that
was embarrassing.
Yeah, I saw the number earlier.
We've moved to
outscored
that now.
43-11 or something. It was bad.
The 5 stages of grief, we've gotten there. Yesterday when I asked Lauren Brooks when I needed to break the tie of who had the better
she was
weekend.
just saying
Taylor
it didn't ruin her weekend because I think a Sweet 16 is a little sweeter.
I brought it up in the final segment yesterday.
Yeah.
I talked about it. I even said the score of every game, including a game in which Florida got run ruled. So I can talk
That's
about
not
it.
ideal. Went through, and the reason we're seeing this picture is because you went through all the pitchers in that series too.
It's because of injuries to some of Florida's aces. It's been rough already. And so how the season started was you felt really good about the pitching rotation for the weekend, and you wondered who would be the guy midweek. We've seen Billy Barlow several times. Well, then on Saturday, Billy Barlow was the starting pitcher against Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Barlow, like I said, to start the season was a midweek pitcher.
Yeah.
And now he's your second pitcher trotted out there against the number 4 team in all of the country. That shows that Kevin O'Sullivan's rotation is not where he wants it to be. Link Jarrett, by the way, in FSU this upcoming weekend take on
Notre Dame.
That is correct, his former team. And so that'll be a lot of fun as well. Yeah, I cannot let regular season baseball ruin, to Taylor's point, a Sweet 16, especially when Florida was down against UConn for a large a large portion of the second half on Sunday. And I have talked to so many different Gators fans who talk about 5 stages of grief. In that game, they were like me. They were already processing this is why we lost. This is what Todd Golden needed to do better, instead of sometimes you just have to let it all play out. And that's one other thing I'll say about Florida.
Including Hacker. Hacker was going through it.
Hacker was planning a trip to Disney until the end of that game. I don't like to compare this season, this 2024-2025 Florida men's basketball team, to the 2014 team that did get knocked out against UConn, but that was later in the tournament, to the 04s, which is the 06 and 07 national championship teams, because the season's not over.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people want to be like, well, let's compare the rosters and let's compare their success. We can't, because the story is unwritten for this team. We have to wait and see what happens.
So you don't like our question of the week for We Asked 1010 of is Walter Clayton on the Mount Rushmore? That's too premature for you. You can't answer that.
No, I already answered it with Trent. And I said, yes, he is, because he's come in so clutch when this team has needed him. And he's a guy that if you don't realize his emotions come internally, you will when you watch him. Mm-hmm. His face literally never changes.
Yeah, I did notice
always
that.
the same, no matter whether he's pumped up or whether he's relaxed. And so, yeah, it's been... I think that question will be interesting to see how the different 10-10 people answer it. But yes.
Well, we've already gotten some interesting answers.
Yeah, I'm sure for some people they would say, let's wait until the end of the season, because if Florida wins a national championship, obviously Walter Clayton could go in there. But for other people, they're going to say you could literally put the entire 06-07 rosters ahead of Walter. That's what some people would say. Plus, he didn't start his career at Florida, as we all know. He was a transfer, one of Todd Golden's great transfer pickups. But all right, back to baseball. The last 11 years, we've done Helmets and Heels live from Vice Ballpark for this game. So this is the first time I get to go as a fan with the family in years. And I will tell you the reason that's so great, for me to enjoy the game, but also B, when you've grown up in Jacksonville, everyone comes by the table when we were doing the live broadcast. We had somebody accidentally hit the iPad last year, almost knock it over. And I love that everyone wants to say hi and I want to chat. But usually we were on air when these things would happen. And so now I get to just say hello to all my Bishop Kenny, all my Florida people, all my Florida State people tonight without having to worry about that.
Yeah, usually we're trying to broadcast and you're trying to also watch the game. And then
with everybody
last year it was started with there was a home run super early in the game when we were trying to see what exactly is going on, but we're also talking on air at the same time.
FSU won all three last year, all three games. So in Jacksonville, in Tallahassee, and in Gainesville is the first sweep for Florida State in a long time. Kevin O'Sullivan against both Florida State and Miami is really good. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but really good. So tonight's game, I think, is going to have some fireworks.
Yeah, me too. And I think that especially, it's unfortunate what Florida's dealing with when it comes to their pitching. But the one thing at least they're still able to hit. There's a lot of guys on that roster that can hit from top to bottom, and so that's positive. You're going to have to take advantage of that against Florida State, and hopefully coming off a 3-game series that they just did, that adds some fire under them, because that is absolutely something.
I don't know, as we're talking about the modern student athlete, does that light them up? Does that motivate them, losing 3 games to your rival, getting run-ruled in Athens, Georgia?
In Gainesville. That makes it even
right,
worse.
That was in Gainesville. I forgot.
At home.
All right, let's say hello to Jacob Rudner, National College reporter for Baseball America. Jacob, thank you so much for taking the time out to chat with us today.
Of course. How are you guys?
We are great. Thanks. Just talking a lot about the Florida State game that's here in Jacksonville tonight at VyStar Ballpark. Let's start with Florida State and get to the fact that FSU did lose at home to Florida a couple weeks ago. So how has this team, though, been able to kind of right the ship after that?
Yeah, I try my best not to put too much stock into midweek results, and obviously that's still a big game, just being a top 6 matchup at the time, and 2 rivalry schools. But at the end of the day, it's not best on best pitching, and you're not really. It's not a weekend matchup, so it's hard to say that was really indicative of where both these teams are at. But Florida State's really good. They have great pitching this year, arguably better than they've had in a couple years. Jamie Arnold is a fantastic pitcher. Joey Volini, who's taken over on Friday nights ever since Jamie Arnold missed the start with his injury, has looked excellent in that role. So they have 2 guys who are kind of, showing ace qualities. The lineup is super exciting, and they're capable of putting up a lot of runs. Several different guys have been major contributors. So that's a team that, I actually think is in a really good spot right now. And we have them as 6th in our poll. They were 4 last week. They didn't really move down because of their own doing, just other teams moving up. But we view Florida State as one of the best teams in the country for sure.
Jacob, on that same note, because Noles have the 5th best team batting average in college baseball. They have the 4th best team ERA in college baseball right now. And so you talked a little bit about each of those sides, but I feel like a big storyline, and we talked a lot about it last year, was Link Jarrett. And now, obviously, Florida tonight, but heading into a series against Notre Dame coming up also. How was Link Jarrett able to do this so quick in just a couple seasons, really turn both sides, the pitching and the hitting, around?
Yeah, he's an excellent recruiter, and he has a great eye for talent, and that matters both in terms of their ability to bring in the high school player, and they've done an excellent job doing that. You look at a guy like Miles Bailey, the true freshman first baseman. He's a ready-made contributor for them and is one of their better hitters. And so that's a testament to his ability to recruit at the high school level. But they've also done an excellent job in the transfer portal, and that's been true last year when they had several guys contribute who had a previous D1 stop under their belt. And again, this season, and that's true on the mound and also, at the plate. So he's an excellent recruiter. I think his program building skills are very strong in terms of just, cultivating a good environment for his players. And we see the byproduct of that, last year and this year for sure.
You can find him on X at Jacob Rudner, now with Baseball America. Previously covered the Gators down in Gainesville. And so, Jacob, as we preview tonight's game between Florida State and Florida, we'd be remiss if we didn't ask you about the thumping that the Gators got at the hands of the team that Baseball America currently has number 4 in all the land. And we've got some Dogs fans here in our listening area here in Heiligen Nation. How has Georgia done this? How has Georgia, which certainly has been in the conversation as a top 25 program the last few years, but how has it surged into the top 5? And they were able to sweep their rivals this weekend, a perennial powerhouse.
Yeah, it's super loud and impressive weekend for Georgia. I would say that the thing that they've been able to hang their hat on oddly this year is actually their offense. Their head coach, Wes Johnson, is a pitching guy. He was in a role with the Minnesota Twins in pitching development. So that's really where he does his best work. But this is a team that is not fun to face if you're an opposing pitcher. They do a really good job of putting up tons of runs, still averaging over 10 a game. And we're basically, the transfer portal recruiting has been kind to them. Rylan Zabowski from Miami, Ohio has been fantastic. Robbie Burnett, another transfer, has been excellent for them. They've batted back-to-back. And then they have some returning talent on offense that's been extremely effective. Slade Alford, the third baseman, among those guys. They haven't exactly lived up to their potential on the mound yet, and I don't know that we've seen that even in this past weekend. They threw a lot of strikes against Florida, but I think that there's probably more in the tank. And so I see a team in Georgia that is going to have a chance to make a lot of noise and potentially even get to Omaha if they can keep hitting the way that they are.
So much talent around here, whether it is Florida, Florida State, Georgia, certainly Miami years past has been really good as well. All right, let's turn our attention to the Gators. What's going on in Gainesville to have some people who, even though Kevin O'Sullivan constantly is in Omaha, wanting him to be fired?
Well, let's talk to those people first. I mean, I think they're wrong. This is a program that's a well-oiled machine, and the evidence is just in what they've been able to do over the last basically 2 decades. But yeah, this is not your typical Florida team, and I don't think that it's the same thing as last year, where we saw Florida struggle with healthy players, and maybe the expectations were just too high for that team. This year, I think the expectations were calibrated accurately. Florida does have a lot of talent, but they're really snake-bit by injuries right now. Multiple guys at key positions are either out for a short period of time that will extend at least another couple weeks, or for the entire season. The center fielder, Kyle Jones, the transfer, he is out for the season with a torn labrum. Pierce Capalla, their Saturday starter, is still ramping back up from suffering an upper body injury early on in the season. Liam Peterson is dealing with some arm soreness and had to miss his last start. They don't exactly have a timetable for when he'll be back. They're hoping it's this weekend, but they're not sure. Cade Curlin, the starting second baseman, has a shoulder injury, and he was able to play over the weekend, but even he is dealing with some soreness and hasn't been able to play like himself. So this is a team that is talented, but they haven't really been able to get their talent out onto the field. And there's no question that that's had an impact. Frank Menendez is another guy. There's their best left-handed reliever who's out right now. So, I think that Florida is one of the best teams in the country still by talent. Without its key contributors, though, this looks like a team that can miss the tournament even on its current trajectory.
Jacob, I want to zoom out a little bit and talk about college baseball as a whole and what we're seeing now. We've talked on this show a lot, the between college baseball and Major League Baseball, and how we're seeing guys in the bigs, what feels a lot quicker than what we used to. And obviously a Paul Skeens example of that, a Wyatt Langford example of that. A lot of people thinking a Jack Caglione we'll see pretty quickly. But what are your thoughts on that and how quick now we're seeing some of these guys go straight from college baseball and playing in the pros?
Yeah, I mean, professional baseball right now is prioritizing ready-made players. They don't want a lengthier process in terms of player development. And they want to get guys who are picked at the top of the draft for a lot of money up to the majors as fast as possible. And granted, I think that there are still teams that value the high school player and the longer developmental track. But like you just mentioned with Paul Skeens and Wyatt Langford, Thurston Waldrop, who plays for Florida, has already made his major league debut, and there are others. It matters to be able to move fast. Teams want young, ready talent, and college baseball has gotten to a point where it's able to provide that. I mean, there is a ton of talent as a byproduct of the shortening of the Major League Draft in 2020. It squeezed more kids out of professional opportunities directly out of high school, and it's basically forced them to go to college, which has made college baseball, A, more competitive, but B, has produced a lot more ready players. And so over the last couple of years, we've seen the number of guys who go directly from school to the majors within about a 2-year stretch effectively double over the previous 6 years. So the track record at this point is that if you're good, you're going to move fast.
Jacob Rudner, as we get ready to wrap with you here on Helmets and Heels, of course, Florida State tonight. Let's quell any more Gator woes. Let's look at the schedule ahead. Yes, a series with Ole Miss, the number 15 team in the Baseball America Top 25, awaits after this showdown with Florida State this evening at 121 Financial Ballpark. Yes, number 14 Vanderbilt lurking on the schedule. Texas, Arkansas, all still to come. What do you make of the schedule the rest of the way for Florida to, quote-unquote, right the ship, especially while still managing those injuries you've alluded to?
I think that for any team in the SEC at this point, with the strength of the conference, there's really no such thing as a cakewalk. There's no such thing as a get-right schedule. Everybody's got a hard group. Florida is certainly not an exception to that. Florida needs to go probably, though, 13-11 the rest of the way to have a chance at the tournament. You can't get into the tournament in that large bid out of the SEC with fewer than 13 wins. And they are going to face some really challenging teams, starting with this Ole Miss group. Now, I think that this is probably your best opportunity over the course of the next couple weeks to get right, like you just said. Ole Miss is ranked number 15 right now, but I do think that that's a team that Florida can probably hang with. Its offense is good enough to beat up on that pitching, I think. So we'll see. But I think that this is a group that needs to find solutions quickly because, like I said, in this conference, it can get away from you very quickly. And Florida will need to produce a winning record the rest of the way in order to make it.
Jacob, it's almost like people forget how the last year season ended for Florida baseball when everyone was questioning Kevin O'Sullivan mid-season last year, and then Florida was one of the Final Four teams remaining. Relax, everybody.
Yeah, no, I definitely think relax is good advice. And the other thing I would add is just, college baseball now is not an easy environment at the top. And I think that teams like Florida are able to experience a lot of success just by hanging around during the regular season. And is that the best product? Is that what people want to see? Probably not. But like you said, Florida and Kevin O'Sullivan have a track record at this point of winning when it matters the most. And at this stage, this early in the season, I see no reason to doubt that.
Absolutely. All right. We appreciate your time, Jacob.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you again. Jacob Rudner of Baseball America does a terrific job. I highly recommend following him on X because obviously he used to cover Florida. I followed him then, but now he covers the entire college baseball.
Everything.
Every game it seems like he's tweeting about, so you can follow along across the country. One little note for tonight's game, Kevin O'Sullivan, 36-22 against FSU and has won 23 of the last 30. So just to put it in perspective, and
then got swept by Link.
Yes, the debate, which is fascinating to me. I guess it's not really a debate, but what's interesting is obviously midweek games are so different than the weekend series. Like Jacob said, we all know that your pitching is going to be different.
Yeah,
I wonder, would Florida and Florida State fans like to see a 3-game weekend series?
Yeah, I would personally.
But the problem there is you lose the Gainesville one, the Tallahassee game, and then Jacksonville.
It would have to be at one of them.
I would say play
throw
here.
them on a plane.
Yeah, all three games here.
That's what I'm.
All three games here, or
weekend series, Florida State in Jacksonville. I think that would be a lot of fun. All right, our highlights are on the other side. You're listening to 1010XL 92.5 FM.
At 1010XL, we wear helmets and pads.
We hit, we win.
Get in the game every day.
And you do that in all things.
With 1010XL.
AA Automotive helps keep your vehicle in dependable and safe condition. Call Sam, Harry, or Joe, and they'll check your brakes, tires, fluids, electric, and motor, so your ride runs smooth on the road. That's AA Automotive on Richard Street.
It's that time again. The Ready, Set, Go sales event is back and going on now at Arlington Toyota. Mia here, and now's the time to make the most of Ready, Set, Go savings because the Arlington Toyota lot is jam-packed with inventory. That's over 800 vehicles to choose from. What kind of savings are there? I'm glad you asked. Just announced, 0% on select new Toyota models has been extended. 0%. And that means now's the time to save on the new Toyota you really want. And come on, admit it. You know you'd look good in a new truck. So get ready, set, and go get yours today with financing as low as 1.99% on select new trucks. Arlington has over 80 Tacomas and over 75 Tundras available. Plus, you get Arlington's lifetime warranty and 60-day exchange with your new Toyota purchase. Don't wait, let's go and shop the Ready, Set, Go sales event at Arlington Toyota now through March 31st. In person on Atlantic Boulevard, just a quarter mile east of 295 or arlingtontoyota.com.
This is Mark Nato. My sons and I have seen the doctors and PAs at Southeast Ortho for everything from lumbar spine stress to elbow tendonitis. Southeast has always been there, been truthful, and always been on point. Everything they say happens. We can't thank them enough for what they've done and the great care that they have taken of our sons.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Top Dog Tavern is your gathering place for family and friends, offering something for everyone. Want a delicious meal served with a smile? We have you covered. Shareable appetizers, hot and crispy wings, juicy tavern burgers, fresh salads, plus a large craft beer selection. And there is nowhere better to watch all the big games than on our multiple TVs. Enjoy great food, cold drinks, and good times at Top Dog Tavern, located in Bartram Park off Old St. Augustine Road.
A lot goes into taking care of your property. You need equipment with more reliability and versatility built in, like Kubota BX and L Series compact tractors to get the job done right, Z Series mowers that deliver a quality cut, and Sidekick utility vehicles where durability meets speed. Visit Coastal Equipment for a demo today.
Greater power for the great outdoors. Coastal Equipment.
Coastal Equipment on New Kings Road and in McClenny.
It's tune-up time, and Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars, wants to partner with you for a cool summer season. Tune up your AC unit right now so it's running at peak performance when you need it most. Just call 777-4300 and order a tune-up for just $59. Keep your unit humming at optimal level. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com and take advantage of their savings. Keep cool with Florida Home AC. That's 777-4300.
I'm Max Fink, and I'm your Gator Updater. Listen for the Gator Report several times a week on 1010XL.
Freshened up by San Jose Collision on the home of the Florida Gators, 1010XL.
Go, Gator! What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, Prosser here. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold hard cash, so you can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, often no appraisals. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day, so act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. Get the money you need for anything at 904-999-1508 or just go to LoanPronto.com. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
E.T. here, and it's time for the Taste of Golf at TPC Sawgrass, April 23rd. Join me for fine cuisine from chefs from the top golf clubs in our area. Craft cocktails, games, and unique auction items will be present. This is one of the most impactful charitable events in our area. Come network with a sophisticated audience who's passionate about golf and its values, while impacting the youth in our community. All proceeds benefit First Tee, North Florida. For tickets, go to tasteofgolf.com. Come on, somebody.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for Instant Keys Locksmith Service.
Mia here, and let me tell you about one of our area's best resorts, the Sawgrass Marriott Golf Resort and Spa. The Sawgrass Marriott is not only a great destination for a vacation, but it is also a great destination for dining on the Florida's first coast. 1912 Ocean Bar and Rooftop is now open on Ponte Vedra Boulevard, featuring Ponte Vedra's only oceanfront rooftop bar and lounge. Serving finely crafted cocktails and delectable eats, it's open daily from 4 to 10 with complimentary valet parking.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Taylor Dahl, Mia O'Brien, RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks with you. Big game tonight in Jacksonville. That is Florida taking on Florida State. Florida is now ranked 19th in Baseball America. Florida State, as you just heard Jacob Rudner say, ranked 6th in the Baseball America rankings. We do not look at D1 baseball, or at least I do not. But again, first pitch tonight, 6 p.m. Parking lots open at 3 p.m. And it's just $10 to park in Lot J or Lot P. So if you're heading on down there, get there early and enjoy the baseball.
Is the new entrance open?
That's a good question. I will tell you after tonight.
Because if so, it's the opposite side. I did see, I don't know what they're doing, because I did see the Jumbo Shrimp post something yesterday about how they're doing a block party for the opening of the new gates. So maybe maybe it's not quite 100%
I would
yet.
imagine, the original gate, which is more behind home plate. The new gate will be closer to Lot J and Everbank Stadium and Lot P and all that stuff along the right field line. But I would assume it's the same gate tonight. But again, first pitch, 6 p.m. It's going to hopefully be a good one. We shall see. If Florida gets run rolled tonight, the people are not going to be happy. All right, time now for our highlights.
Now, here's highlights. Unbelievable! On 1010XL.
The fans get it. Kobe White is him. He is the 5th player in franchise history to record a streak of at least 3 straight 35-point games.
We're hearing Kobe White chants from the fans that have made the trip over to Ball Arena. The Bulls fans are chanting Kobe White's name.
Todd Golden and his team felt the pressure to beat UConn.
Incredibly huge, man. I mean, as crazy as it is, I think we had won 31 games going into this game, right? And if you lose this game, I think people would look at it as a little bit disappointing, which is crazy to say, but the reality of the world we live in. But now, no matter what happens, they can't say that about our season. Going to Sweet 16, getting 32 wins. It's a great time for Gator basketball.
Move over Crab 5. The Maryland women are also going to the Sweet 16 after double OT win over Alabama.
Michael gets it back. Shot clock down to 5. CBS 2. It's a good matchup. Only 1.8 seconds to get a clean 3 off. Weathers the inbounder. Finds Parker. Trying to go off with it.
All 3 of us with basketball highlights.
I don't
One
think that's
NBA,
ever happened.
No, one men's, one women's. We'll start with your highlight, Taylor. And was this late Saturday night?
This one was last night.
Okay.
So last night, the Bulls beat the Nuggets 129 to 119 in Denver. And Kobe White has his 3rd straight game with 35 plus points. He's just playing out of his mind right now. And Kobe's one of my favorite players left on the Bulls. They kind of had cleaned house in recent years. Obviously, DeMar's gone now and Caruso's gone now. And he was one of the players rumored to possibly be traded around the trade deadline because he was one of the ones that had the most value at that time. I was like banging the table, and RJ and I would talk about it every day, and he's like, I don't know, maybe Kobe. I was like, no, I don't want Kobe to go anywhere. But now, the last 10, the Bulls are 8-2. They're playing really good basketball. Everything's kind of coming together, including the rookie Matas. He dropped a 30-point game against the Lakers. They have Josh Giddey, who they got this last offseason, is averaging 22.3. Kobe's averaging over 30. All of this since the All-Star break. So it's all feeling like it's starting to come together a little bit for them. They're still like 9th right now in the conference, but I think only like 7 games back. So it's interesting, but it's also frustrating because I feel like this is what the Bulls do every single year, and it's like suck, mid a little bit, have this run late, scrape into the play-in, lose the play-in, and then the cycle continues over and over again. So it's fun in the moment, but it's a little frustrating.
And you still cannot have Todd Golden. You get to keep.
We still have to have
Donovan.
Yeah,
as your coach. Obviously, I put a Florida highlight in there from Todd Golden post game. I think that Florida team felt like the 8 seed and the UConn team felt like the 1 seed. I think that's kind of what felt like it was in their heads, the way that they played, but also hearing from Todd Golden post game saying how disappointing of a season it would have been after winning 31 games. To me, none of that should even come into your periphery or even be something that you have to discuss post game. But either way, now Florida taking on Maryland Thursday night, 7:39 is when that game tips off, and we will see what happens between those 2 squads.
It is interesting because I didn't say this yesterday when we were recapping that game, but a thought that came to my head, because it did feel like that in several moments of the game, that Florida was the lower seed trying to like upset, and there was a lot of moments where it felt like that. But then interesting, like I just felt like there was a lot of moments too where nobody could hit a shot. So it wasn't like UConn was playing out of their mind. To me, it was kind of like Florida was playing so bad at points when they weren't getting any of the rebounds and they were losing all these loose balls and they were turning the ball over, and it was so sloppy that it made UConn look better than what they were. Because when you go almost 5 minutes without somebody scoring, then there's some good
Field
not
goals,
some
not
good
free
things.
throws,
Field goals, yeah. There's some not good things happening offensively for either team.
I think UConn played about as well as they could play outside of maybe that stretch. That's how I looked
outside
at it.
of the end.
outside of
defensively, I felt like, but I just feel like they weren't scoring.
I was going to say outside of shooting 32% in the first half, because I could argue they could shoot a little bit better than
their
that.
threes
from the
were
floor.
terrible. It was just
no. It was that Florida was playing tight, and Florida turned the ball over 9 times in the first half. That's literally that is why the game was a tie game at the half, and I think it was one of the first times where Florida maybe had moments of, oh my goodness, like are we a 1 seed? Question mark. And obviously whatever conversations Elijah Martin led in the halftime locker room clearly spoke to them and came out looking like a different team. And you can make the argument maybe at the under 12 timeout there were conversations had, because that was certainly when Walter Clayton turned it on and the turnovers started to diminish a bit.
There's a difference too to me between playing well and shooting well. Like you can play well and not shoot well. There's also times that you can shoot well and not play well. Does that make sense?
No, it does. I'm not saying that that's the I'm saying that UConn could have hit another ceiling. Like there was still another level to reach.
They could have actually made baskets for a while.
Taylor texted me during the first half and she went, "My God, you were right." And I said, "Yeah, I was the only one who banged the table here in this station and said I would be a little more nervous about that matchup in the round of 32."
Before the game, Florida, it was like 9.5. It was 9.5 for UConn, plus 9.5 for UConn. And so that to me was kind of telling of what people expected from that game and how Florida kind of underwhelmed during that game, but luckily ended up finding it late.
Luckily, if you're a Florida fan, there are obviously lots of people who are rooting against Florida, including both of you.
I picked Florida to win.
I picked Florida too.
I picked Florida to win the whole thing.
You said yesterday, Taylor, you were rooting against
I said there was moments.
Florida. Okay, that's what I'm saying.
No, I wasn't. There was moments where I was cheering for an upset. That doesn't mean I'm directly cheering against Florida. If it was any other team, I would have been cheering for the upset.
She's rooting for the sport.
To me, it doesn't matter because obviously everyone gets to pick who they root for or against. All right. When it comes to Alabama, Maryland women's basketball, I thought the double overtime last night was insane. That's obviously not the lead story in basketball, but that wouldn't have been a highlight as far as Juju Watkins tearing her ACL.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to it yet, but obviously prayers up for Juju Watkins. We don't have enough time on this program to go into it. Maybe a different day. I know we certainly will on my podcast that I do in the women's basketball world, because, I mean, the first thing Kevin said to me when I broke the news to him this morning was he doesn't think she's going to play her junior year next year. Because the problem is with the calendar of how the WNBA is structured, she would probably not be cleared from a torn ACL because, let's be real, April is in less than a week. So it's what? I know even with modern medicine, it's still a 6 to 9 month recovery time.
Yeah.
So she's maybe cleared at earliest December, January. As we've seen in the NFL, you are not at your best that first year after an ACL tear. It's not till that second year that you actually really get your sea legs back from underneath you. I think that's pretty much across all sports. And so what? She's going to rush back to play 2 or 3 months. And then the pre-draft process begins the day after your season ends in the NCAA tournament because, wait for it, folks, this year the WNBA draft is April 14th. The Final Four is the weekend of April 5th.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she could do a Micah Hanlogton. His was a broken leg, not an ACL, but she could, if USC is really good and she wants to come back and play in the postseason, she could do that.
But if you're her, do you really want to do that? Because you know you're going to go number 1. And also you look at Paige Beckers, who continuously came back after fighting through injuries and risked further injury.
Depends on how much money you get paid.
But she's making a lot of money right now.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be a fascinating next few months, year, because she is the face of the sport right now. And to lose her before the Sweet 16, it's just not great for the sport. But yes, our thoughts are with Juju. It was a gruesome injury. Happened so early in a game that they won handily. But Kiki Ariafen with 36 points. So, hey, at least USC as a 1 seed has a little bit of a prayer, although the betting lines did shift dramatically last night with UConn now the favorite to win the national title. As for the game of the tournament so far, yes, a double overtime victory for Maryland. We are in the year of the Terp, folks. It's the year of the Terp. And that was despite perhaps the most boneheaded basketball play that I have seen through the men's and the women's seasons up to this point, right? So in regulation, Maryland is up 3. There are 6.8 seconds left on the clock. Kevin's sitting on the couch next to me, a native of Maryland. Yes, Kevin from Duval from Maryland. Who would have thought? He's screaming, just don't foul her. Just don't foul her. Especially because the player with the ball in her hands is Sarah Ashley Barker, who at that point in time had 39 points in the game, was approaching an Alabama record, ended up finishing with 45, which is the 4th most points for a player in the NCAA tournament's history in a single game. And what did Maryland do? With 7 seconds left on the clock. They foul her. So, in theory, you say, well, at that point, Barker was 4 of 8 from the line. She drains all 3. And so they go to overtime. And it was just one of those things where you were like, Maryland, what are you doing? But ultimately, Maryland's the deeper team. They were the higher seed. They had home court advantage, and so they hold on. If you want to go back and watch the highlights, it's nuts. Sarah Ashley Barker, who apparently there's a whole villain story potentially there, like with a backstory that I did not know about till this morning. But hey, fun player, probably going to get drafted in the WNBA draft next month. But what a performance by her, and a hell of a game in a tournament where both on the men's and the women's side, we've had great games, but maybe we haven't had the buzzer beaters. Mm-hmm. This one had a couple of them.
Yeah. Well, your Iowa nails didn't work, though.
Yeah.
All right, we got a good break.
Yeah.
We got one segment to go here on Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Putting some paint on your quarter panel.
All the way up against the wall. There's still 3.
This Sunday at Martinsville.
They both spin out.
NASCAR is tuned up by Maxie's Mechanics on 1010XL.
Jags fans, here's your chance to score a trip to Green Bay for round 1 of draft night. Through the Everbank Draft Night Experience Sweepstakes, one lucky winner and a guest will be there live and in person to see the Jaguars make their first pick. To enter, visit everbank.com/draft by April 4th. That's everbank.com/draft. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents of the United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry period from 3/3/25 to 4/4/25. For official rules, prize description, odds of winning, and other details, visit everbank.com/draft. Sponsor and administrator, Everbank N.A.
Value or flavor? Price or taste? Why choose when you can get both with everyday deals at Sonny's? Right now, you can get the pork big deal for 10, the pork and rib combo for 12, and all you can eat ribs for just $19.99. Yep, you heard right. All your favorites are now available all day, every day. And that's why it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
Greenlaw Group is for the insured. If you think you have roof damage, call 904-302-7055 today, and they will schedule you a free roof inspection. Trust their law firm to help you fight your insurance when you need it. These storms can cause damage you may not even see yet. Call Greenlaw Group 302-7055. There's no cost to retain their law firm and no cost to have your roof inspected. They only get paid if you win. Greenlaw Group, for the insured.
At Performance Painting, we've spent decades protecting commercial properties with durable, long-lasting coatings. And we can bring the same expertise when painting the exterior of your home. With industry-leading materials and a proven process, we extend the life of your home, reducing maintenance costs and preserving its value. Now, for a limited time, save $500 when you hire us to paint your home's exterior. Just mention 1010XL. Go to performancepainting.com to schedule a friendly estimate. Performance Painting. Repair, protect, preserve.
Performance painting.
If you're heading to the Og or you're already part of the nation's oldest, don't forget to drop into Sunset Grill. For over 30 years, serving up great chowder, seafood, wings, and cold beer. Sunset Grill, somewhere on A1A, St. Augustine Beach.
Hey, poker fans, the stakes are high this month as Best Bet dishes out over $550,000 between Jacksonville, Orange Park, and the St. Augustine poker rooms. Feeling lucky? How about $300 every 15 minutes at the table games, or cash in on the $20,000 race to a race, or every Friday, $1,000 every 30 minutes. And go for the green on St. Patrick's Day, where a Royal Flushing Clubs wins up to $5,000. See all the details at bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com.
It's about the hunt.
Captain Kevin Favor here with Captain Kirk and Jeff Lagerman.
We take you from the water to the woods on the Nimnicht Outdoors Show. Presented by Duck Rudner Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning.
Let's go to the woods, y'all.
Saturday mornings from 7 to 10 on 1010XL.
Florida heat is no joke. Is your air conditioner ready for it? At Duck Air Conditioning, we've got a crazy offer just for you. We're giving away free AC inspections to our wonderful customers who now call and schedule. One of our expert techs will come look at your AC unit and make recommendations to ensure it's running at peak performance. But you must act today. A deal this good won't last forever. Call 904-862-6769. Duck Air Conditioning. DuckDuckAC.com. Any required repairs are not included in the inspection.
Attention men and women. If you would like to get your hair back, then you need to listen to some of our clients. John in Orange Park.
IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Call IHRS now at 904-777-IHRS. Find out how to grow your hair back with a free hair and scalp examination. Mike from Bay Meadows.
I finally found the most experienced company who could restore my hair. Now I have hair where I had none before.
Results guaranteed. Diane from Ponte Vedra.
Now I have what lotions couldn't give me. Thick, beautiful hair.
Find out why you're losing your hair and how to grow your hair back. Call 904-777-IHRS for a limited time free hair and scalp examination.
Now my hair will grow for the rest of my life. Thanks, IHRS.
Thank you, IHRS.
Thanks, IHRS, for giving me my hair back.
Hurry and receive a free hair and scalp examination and get 2 weeks of laser treatments for free. Call IHRS at 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Hairforme.com.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes. If you're like me, as soon as you click yes to a subscription, you feel stuck. Starting Awaken 180 was the complete opposite because it's not a subscription, no fine print. Pay as you go, lose weight as you go. Awaken180weightloss.com.
Open early and open late. Dailies is always there, making things easy for you to cruise in and cruise out. So hit Dailies Cold Case the next time you're craving a cold one. Bud Light by the case. Plus plenty of singles to choose from. Corona to the King of Beers to Stella or a Natty. They're all cold at Dailies.
This is Greg Huntington, a.k.a. The Mangler. I'm on the winning team at Waste Management. WM is the largest sustainability company in North America. If your business needs sustainable environmental services for waste removal and recycling collection, then you can count on the industry leader of WM to deliver results. Your services will be completed in a timely, safe, and eco-friendly manner. Go to WM.com/Duval. That's WM.com/Duval and get signed up today. If anyone can talk trash, it's the Mangler.
If someone you love needs a pick-me-up, then it's time to get serious about it and send them a Kuhn floral arrangement. Max Fink here with 1010XL. You'll be assured of quality delivery, that's for sure. Log on and order online at kuhnflowers.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air, Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since '87.
I know we spent a ton of today's program in the college ranks and college basketball specifically. We will get to some more football here in our final segment, but first, a round of applause, RJ, for Captain of Fishing and Adventures on our YouTube chat line, who added a new Jags fan in Heeligan this morning. 8 pounds, 4 ounces. I'm assuming it's not a fish. I'm assuming that it is a real human being. Says that he is listening, so I'm assuming that that is indeed a human child, not an actual fish. And so we salute you, Captain, and your new addition. Of note, 2 more things from the college basketball world, and then we'll pivot to football because there's some interesting news out of the Bay Area in California. First and foremost, for everyone saying that the death of Cinderella, the on-3 graphic with the giant word death in front of it, everyone's done with college basketball. Let me read you some notes that Turner just posted. Of course, Turner owns the rights to the NCAA tournament. The men's tournament has averaged a record 9.1 million viewers for the round of 64 Thursday. That was the most ever for a first-round opening day. Another 9.4 million viewers through the round of 32. That is the most since 1993. You may recall a guy by the name of Christian Laettner, who may or may not be listening to this, somewhere in the Northeast Florida area, was playing back then, as was the Fab Five. So, yes, college basketball doing just fine. However, in the spirit of the conversation we had to begin the program, the University of Utah targeting NBA executive Wes Wilcox to be their next GM. To put a bow on that conversation, what I will just simply say, and this pivots to the college football ranks, you're going to start seeing general managers in college sports. At the Power 4 level, it will be for each individual sport. Perhaps at the mid-major group of 5 level, maybe it ends up having to be 1 or 2 managers, just like 1 or 2 sports information directors. But you are going to see that because coaches don't want to have the responsibility of mining the portal, recruiting traditional high school players, and then also having to actually run a basketball operation in 2025, which is why Stanford hired alum Andrew Luck. And Andrew Luck made the announcement about 37 minutes ago that he has fired the head coach of Stanford, Troy Taylor.
Yeah, I thought general managers were a very recent thing, but I just Googled the first college football general manager and the stories from 2021 and the rise of the college football general manager.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're starting to become more as far as in front of the media and more people are paying attention. But I guess
I think
college
you have
football,
to now.
Yeah, saw the writing on the wall when the transfer portal began in earnest. And so,
That's a lot to balance.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense to me for sure.
Yeah, and going back to the death of Cinderella thing, and I do think that people are probably maybe not love the product as much as they used to, because I do think that people loved that. They loved the Cinderella story and they love the underdogs. If you don't have a dog in the fight, that's usually kind of what you're cheering for. I will say what's probably keeping this alive is betting, because I will tell you, being out and about watching all of these games, not one single person was just like watching to watch. Every single person's checking their bracket or checking their parlay, at least from the multiple spots that I went to watch college basketball. So I think the growth of sports betting and all of the different parlays and all of the things you can do, and the just growth of having a bracket online too that you can fill out and have 75 of, is probably keeping it alive a little bit more than if you didn't have all of those and people just strictly watching the game to watch the game.
I think people rooted for upsets because it's always fun to see the number 1 seeds and number 2 seeds go down. People also love buzzer beaters.
Yeah.
I think if there were more buzzer beaters, and even though the fewer Cinderella teams are now almost none, I guess some people are calling Arkansas the last Cinderella team left because they're
John Cinderella is what they're calling Calipari.
Yeah,
now.
Calipari is certainly not a coach that deserves that Cinderella title, but I think that's what people are more upset about. It's the fact that it's been a lot of times boring games.
Yeah.
And so I think if it was more exciting finishes, I think this whole conversation about the Cinderella not being present would be a little bit less focused on. All right, time now for our Terminix pest of the day. Terminix knows how to stop termites, those destructive pests that have been around for millions of years. They did that at my house. They can do it at yours, and they can do it at your commercial building as well. That's why they take care of Everbank Stadium, Vice-Star Ballpark, where I'll be tonight, and lots of other event venues around town. UConn is the pest of the day today, and here is why. Not because of anything that has to do with the game. We played the clip as we brought in Zach Albaverdi yesterday of Gators Online, who was in Raleigh. We played the clip of Bobby Hurley walking out of the bowels of the stadium, or the arena, I should say, and saying, I hope they don't screw you like they screwed us, talking to Baylor, saying that UConn got screwed by the officials in the loss to Florida. But here's the thing. The reporter that took that video, Joey Ellis, he said that Bobby Mullen, the school's director of communications for UConn, confronted him, asked for the video that had gone viral to be removed, and then threatened him, saying his life would be ruined if he did not take the video down.
Oh, he didn't just say it. He tweeted it and then deleted the tweet.
Right.
What? Yeah.
So multiple reporters heard Bobby Mullen, again, the school's director of communications, say that to Joey, the other reporters that were around that probably just didn't have their phones out, because every single reporter, if they had gotten that on film, would have tweeted
Posted
out.
it, for sure.
You can't threaten people's lives and say you're going to ruin someone's career because they get video of your coworker and your coach saying something he shouldn't have said. And
How about have a conversation with your coach about what to wait for of saying.
You also you know better. You never say something like that. I mean, maybe if the officials had a late game call like we saw in the Maryland-Colorado State game, like maybe if Colorado State's coach is walking off saying like, we got screwed by the officials.
With 7 steps, then maybe we
I still don't understand saying it exactly like that, but then at least there's more, accuracy to it. This was just so off the wall in general. And then to have a school threaten someone, I mean, Mia, you've
Bad
been in
look.
those situations where you've tweeted out videos.
I was about to say, this sounds a little...
Listen, as someone who has had more than one run-in with sports information directors, public relations directors, hey, Matt Hayes is sitting down. He's someone who has great relationships with so many of those folks. I do as well, and there's many of them listening here in Healigan Nation. I will just say this, and I think it does tie today's program pretty nicely into a little bow. I will just say that the day and age of intimidation tactics of, I will take your credential away, I will ruin your life, as this UConn SID reportedly said to a reporter, those days are gone for the same reasons that we just outlined. Because if you are to threaten someone, 9 times out of 10, if it's captured on video or there's receipts, it's going to come to light.
Let's say hello to XL Primetime.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
Everyone who loves college football should go read Matt's report on USA Today Sports, as Matt Hayes wrote all about Kirby Smart and some of those comments post-game or post-practice last week. Basically, the point is, if Kirby can't coach his guys, who can?
Yeah, thank you very much for saying that. I appreciate that.
Of course.
You guys are laying down the lawn here. What's going on?
We've had a lot to show about.
You guys on a soapbox,
Diatribe.
and you guys are going back
About college athletics.
What the heck's going on?
So the UConn coach, obviously, Dan Hurley, when he was leaving the game the other day, and he was caught on video saying to Baylor, like, I hope you don't get screwed by the officials the way we did. Obviously, he didn't use the word screwed. He used the expletive. So the reporter that caught that on film tweeted it out naturally. And then UConn's director of communications.
Oh, right. I heard of it.
He threatened the reporter that did that. So,
and now that reporter and his entire station have turned it into this like massive news story with continuing coverage, and it's.
I mean, it's UConn. There's a reason, like the group that covers UConn, they're called the Horde. Because it's just a bunch of people
with a
that
D
cover.
on the end.
With a D. H-O-A-R-D, Horde, not H, whatever.
Right, yeah, W.
It's funny, too, because when you go back the news, Joey Ellis posted a clip from because obviously now it's gotten carried away everywhere, and it was talking about Bobby Mullins, the director of communications, but they were talking about how the image should have been him locked arms with his players leaving the court for the final time, and instead a reporter who was in an area he should not have been recorded on his cell phone a private comment made to members of another coaching staff. And so now they're twisting this.
He was in the bowels of the stadium as he just walked in, right?
Yeah, it's the one area you're allowed to be in.
Are allowed to be
It's
in.
the one area you're alled to film. Trust me, been doing enough NCAA tournaments.
So the UConn media group, the Horde, they are notoriously.
What'd you call them?
Okay, whore. Okay, how about that?
This has gone off the rails.
So they're notoriously known as being homers. So my guess is he rides roughshod over them all the time. Would be my guess. And then it changes. And when he starts getting out of his little comfort zone, it changes. And look, that didn't bother me. I don't care about it. What bothered me was when Hurley was walking off the floor and he's screaming at the fan in the stands, "We got 2 titles."
Yeah.
And then he calls him Baldy.
Oh my God.
And I'm thinking of Elaine right now going, "You're bald."
You're also bald, sir.
In the words of Van Pelt, just come home. Just come home.
Right.
Yeah,
Just take your L and go home, man.
Yeah, Hurley's, I think, a bit of a jerk is what we've discovered over the last few years, but he's a really good coach. That's why he gets to keep his job.
I don't know. I think he's a very passionate guy who loves the game and loves his kids, and I respect that. But at some point, you just got to take the L, man. Take the L. They played a near perfect game and almost beat Florida. All right? Florida missed free throws. Take the L and come home.
Matt, as far as the Kirby Smart article, do you think that Kirby's trying to send a message to his team by saying they're tired at practice?
Of course.
And the whole don't want to be coached.
But I also think he's very serious about that. They don't want to be coaching, because almost every coach I speak to now says that these guys don't want to be coached anymore. They don't want to be pushed. They don't want to be coached hard to where you grow and you reach that ceiling instead of just plateauing. And if my point in the whole column was, if the guy who has the most capital of any coach in college football, who has everything he could possibly want at Georgia, financially, structurally, supporting everything he could possibly want, he takes a helicopter to a high school game, for God's sakes.
Right.
If he can't get a guy to play to his top level by coaching him hard, who can?
Yeah. I don't know. We were talking about that earlier, Matt. And I think that I mentioned it too, when we're having that conversation of who can and what type of coach is going to succeed in this. The problem is, and I know we speak a lot of good things about NIL and how it's helped student athletes too, and there's a weird balance for it right now, or no balance for it, I guess, in better terms. But it's because a player can peace out if he doesn't like the way the coach is coaching, if he doesn't like his playing time, if he doesn't like his money, he can peace out, and there's no problem with that, no discipline, no punishment, no kind of result.
No recourse for that.
Yeah, nothing.
And it's also it's not Kirby, obviously, but there are players that make more than their coaches right now in college football. There are players in college football that make more than minimum salary guys in the NFL. A lot more than minimum salary guys in the NFL. So it's the dynamics between the players and coaches. It's almost like a polar shift right now. And I think the coaches are still trying to grasp it and figure out how to deal with it. I mean, at the end of the day, the reality is there's only one way to get to the NFL. and it's through college football. So that's what they still have over them.
Yeah.
But it's fleeting right now. There's no doubt about that.
Which the reason I was on the soapbox. We spent the good first hour of our program on the transfer portal in basketball, opening, the day after the round of 32, which, again, the players have the leverage in that situation outside of, to your point, it being the pathway to the pros.
Right.
And as we've seen, not just in the NFL, but also in the NBA, doesn't matter. You don't have to go to UConn or Duke to make it to the next level. You don't have to go to Georgia. They will find you so long as you are playing at the collegiate, quote-unquote, level.
Right. I mean, in the football, the winter football portal opens December 1, which is literally two days, sometimes 1 day after the end of the regular season, before the championship game.
Yeah. Same thing here.
Right. So, I mean, before the conference championship
Right.
week.
Yeah.
So, you have to make a decision. They're trying to put some kind of guardrail around it to where players think twice. But if a guy's going to go, he's going to go. Simple as that.
Where are y'all going to go today on the show?
Travis Hunter.
Oh.
Abdul Carter.
Oh.
I always make
You
this
think they're
joke.
going to be there at 5?
Well, I always make this joke because, we want to go into the Chevy dealer, the Beaver Chevy dealer, and we want the Silverado, okay? And then all of a sudden, the car guy, he pulls up the Corvette, and you're like, but I wanted the offensive lineman Silverado, and then here comes the Corvette, Travis Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're kind of like, all right, that would be really good too.
That'd be fun.
That's what these guys are doing. I mean, you can have all the philosophical idea you want, but at the end of the day, if somebody drops that you didn't think was going to drop there,
Yeah. Get the Denali truck. That's what we say.
I agree with you. I agree with you. You can't, just get big.
Not just big, the best of the big.
Yes.
All right, Matt, thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
All right, XO Primetime comes up next for Mia O'Brien, for Taylor Dahl, for RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you tomorrow, but don't go anywhere. Primetime is next.
Boots are gonna walk